Sometimes I think brands, particularly big brands, can't get out of their own way, right? And they feel as though they've got to sort of tell you everything versus acting like a person would. Transformation is a big theme for us. What I'm going to spend the next couple minutes talking about is transformation both from a business point of view and from a storytelling point of view. And let's see. Here we go. So I think you can't talk about marketing. We can't even think about marketing without grounding ourselves in what GE is about, because our marketing is a reflection of the DNA of the company. Our company was founded by an inventor, founded by Thomas Edison, who thought about what does the world need, and then he went out to try to invent it. And that's a real lesson to us as we think about marketing. We think about the nature of invention and innovation as constantly changing. We all know this. That's the theme of this conference. We're in a bimodal world. We're in a digital world. We're in a two-way world. And that's a big part of how we think about our marketing. We also think very hard at GE about marketing's role both in creating value and in driving innovation. For us, we have gotten incredibly comfortable, in fact, fairly excited about who we are as a company. And when we think about our role as marketers, our role as storytellers, we really go back to the essence of who we are. So when we craft our stories, when we think about our content, when we think about our marketing, it's really taking a page out of who we are. And that's our passion for science, our passion for innovation. We don't sit around at GE and say, how can we be cool? How can we be as cool as Uber or Casper or Facebook or Twitter? Because every person at GE, the 333,000 of us, believe that we work for a company that's changing the world and that is solving problems. And those are the stories that we want to find and tell. So for us, you know, we're 135 years old. We sort of think of ourselves as one of the oldest startups on the block. But it's not enough to just keep going. You have to keep reinventing. So the company that brought us the light bulb, that brought us the jet engine, the MRI machine, as David said, now we're thinking about our digital transformation and this intersection of digital and physical and what that means. And we're also in marketing kind of think of ourselves as a brand in motion. We're iterative. We're proud of the fact that we're iterative. So I want to sort of take you through some examples of how we think about this. We all know in the media world there's so many changes afoot. Our viewing habits change. The reason I bring that up is I'm watching House of Cards. I'm deeply engaged in it. Not a commercial to be seen, right? So as a marketer, great for Netflix. What does GE do in a case like this? So we kind of asked ourselves that question a couple years ago, and we were fortunate to pair up with a few of Hollywood's best storytellers, Brian Grazer and Ron Howard, as well as with Nat Geo, and we said, wait a minute, there's another way to think about storytelling. And together we conceived of this idea called Breakthrough. I'm going to show you a clip in a minute. And this is an example of a marketer not being an advertiser, not being a sponsor, being a co-production partner with Nat Geo. So we picked 6 topics that we thought were incredibly important to the world, important to GE. We paired those topics with 6 incredibly well-known directors. You'll see some of them in a second. And we said, let's tell breakthrough stories around this. And we aired this in 180 countries last fall. So let's take a quick look at Breakthrough.
There are lots of different problems and issues on the planet that should be diagnosed and should be attacked. And so the idea became, let's look ahead. Every innovation, every breakthrough is driven by this very compelling human drama. We're interested in what is happening in the world in terms of the way science and human beings are addressing these problems. And getting great storytellers to work with us to make a great drama out of our exploration of each of these important issues.
This would be the most important medical intervention in the modern era. an ability to slow aging.
These films are seen through the lens of we're solving problems, we're showing solutions.
The doctors and the scientists in this film are exploring the mysteries of really who we are.
You're plugged into the consciousness of thousands of people.
I hope that this film would be a point of dialogue, of thought, of provoking action.
We've got to figure out how to live with this finite supply of water and still have a healthy planet.
This virus outran our ability to respond to it.
I'm hoping that we can learn to coexist with our planet.
You know, you start watching it, and if you give it 3 or 4 minutes, you're just hooked. They're mysteries, they're adventures, they're challenges, and they're desperately important.
I hadn't realized how much of this stuff was going on, and it's hugely eye-opening. This stuff will change my life.
Because as marketers, we're thinking more and more about how we own media, not just rent media. In a world where media is becoming harder and harder to literally break through in, we look at live media, we look at opportunities like this, pairing science with great storytellers. For us as a brand to stand out, we're 135 years old. We're in 170 countries. We're in really important businesses like rail and aviation and energy and healthcare. But we want to be somebody that you can relate to. We want to be human. We want to be accessible. We want to be somebody that you kind of want to sit next to at a party. And sometimes I think brands, particularly big brands, can't get out of their own way, right? And they feel as though they've got to sort of tell you everything versus acting like a person would. And I think for us as a brand and as a storyteller, that has been a bit of a guiding light for us. Another thing that we have worked really hard at and been very deliberate on is being first, being early on a lot of tech platforms. I bring you back to what I said a few minutes ago about Edison. And we've taken a lot of kind of courage from that, if you will. And as a result, we have been often the very first brand on a lot of the platforms behind me. First brand on Vine, first brand on Micmac. We've been on Instagram for over 5 years. For us, there's never sort of a second chance to be first. You know, we love the experimental nature of it. We love what we learn. We love the fact that often being first on these platforms, we do this organically. These aren't big paid buys. It's a way for us to just get smart. These are some of the photos that that have been on our Instagram feed over the last 5 years. What they really show is the majesty of industry. And I think hopefully as you're listening to me, that's what we try to do, right? We don't try to tell, here's the one GE story. GE is a company that is about transformation, and we try in our marketing to bring that to life, whether it's being first and early on a social platform, whether it's showing an unexpected prism, whether it's a photo or it's an experiment with a snowball that doesn't melt when it's put in molten metal. All of these are different ways for us to talk about GE, but they all add up to the same thing. A company that is deeply about invention, about transformation, about the future, about what's next. One of my favorite stories is, we talk often at GE about being unexpected. How by surprising people, we really get through as a big brand. So a couple years ago was the 45th anniversary of the moon landing. Moon landing was July 1969. And GE played a role in the moon landing. Our materials, our plastics, were in the moon boots that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin wore when they first stepped on the moon. So we decided to have a little bit of fun and take a page from that. And we partnered with a media company. And again, we're big believers in sort of partnering with kind of, unexpected others, a company called Thrillist, and we actually produced a physical pair of sneakers, moon boots, the ones behind me, and we put them on sale at the exact moment of the moon landing, so July, 2 summers ago, and we put them on sale for $196.69, having a little bit of fun, 1969. They sold out in about 3 minutes. They're on eBay now, if you can still find them, for about $7,000 a pair. And what I love about this story is it's a pair of sneakers, right? Who cares? We're GE, we make jet engines. It's a way for our company to be tangible. In a world where you're all sitting there, everybody in this audience has an iPhone that they put in their pocket. You never forget about Apple. So how do we remind people that GE, which is largely invisible, right? You think about energy when it's not there anymore, is tangible, is meaningful. So this was a great way to remind people that GE makes super materials. In this case, the super materials were part of the sneakers. So, to us, what drives us, what drives our team? It's curiosity and passion. We are constantly waking up every morning at GE and fighting for how we can be relevant and how we can be contemporary. That's what you have to do, I think, as a brand, whether you're 3 years old or whether you're 135 years old. Our challenge at GE is not that being known. Everybody knows who GE is. It's being known for the right things. And in the last decade and a half, our chairman has completely transformed our portfolio. We are a company that is largely about 3 things: transportation in the form of rail and aviation, energy, and healthcare, with this big digital layer, data analytics on top of that. That's the story we want to tell today. So with that, we're kind of reinventing again. And as David said, our next transformation is we want to lead the world in terms of being a digital industrial company. Part of that is just defining what is a digital industrial company? And that's the journey that we're on. We've hired a couple thousand software engineers, computer scientists in San Francisco. We're opening offices around the world, what we're calling digital foundries. We're moving our headquarters, as many of you have read, perhaps there's some Bostonians in the audience, to Boston. Yay, Boston. It's a really deliberate move. Boston is a center of innovation. Biotech is there. It's a great university town, 50+ universities, fantastic talent in terms of startup and innovation. And that's going to define the next generation of GE, being a company that embraces, as David said, the Internet of really big things. How to make jet engines more predictive, how to give locomotives efficiency so that they can save what will be millions, ultimately billions of dollars. So imagine a world, we're all tweeting, maybe you're tweeting right now, where your jet engine can tweet, where your jet engine can actually tell you that it's time to come off wing and be maintained. Maybe it won't be on Twitter, maybe it'll be on our platform, which is called Predix, that's our operating system, but that's the world that we're in.